Hi, welcome to SBR Forum Videos. I'm Peter Loshak. We are starting some new coverage for WNBA right now. I'm happy to have never done a WNBA video at SBR Forum Videos, but we're going to start in, and we're going to welcome a poster named Anthony. His handle at SBR is SweetJones55. He's had some very, very popular threads handicapping WNBA and NBA at SBR Forum, and now he's got a website, SweetJones55, where he's become a professional handicapper. He sells his picks, and his name is Anthony. Anthony, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Peter.
All right, so we're going to get to a pick on the Saturday NBA game that you like, but before we get into that, tell us a little bit about your website, SweetJones55.
Okay, so yeah, I used to post on SBR, and then I decided to create my own website, SweetJones55.com, and I'm currently just for the summer doing WNBA. I do one sport at a time. I started out well. I started out 9-0. I lost my last game, so I'm 9-1, and my lifetime record now is 42-21. I'm hitting 67% in WNBA, and I'm up 21.9 units. I offer a season package for WNBA for $2.99 and a monthly package of WNBA for $89 right now.
Okay, I like it. Sweet Jones, I like that name. And, as a lot of handicappers know, WNBA has long been a sport that a lot of professional handicappers say they find big edges in. But you don't think that those lines have gotten sharper over the years, or the big edges still there to be had?
No, I still definitely think the big edge is there to be had because the lines makers aren't really trying to sharpen up their WNBA lines. It would kind of be like the liquidity in the market is so little, and you can't really get that much action done in WNBA game. They're much more concerned about football and nowadays soccer in the summer. You can wager huge amounts on that. I mean, the lines have sharpened up a little bit, but for the most part, they're still pretty bad, and there's a lot of things you're going to exploit in the league still.
All right, the game that you want to talk about, it goes on Saturday. It's Seattle at Washington. And Washington, of course, the last 2 years is an absolutely awful team, but they've had a turnaround this year led by new coach Mike Thibault. And, they only won 11 games over the past 2 years combined. Already this year, they're 5-6, and they're 7-4 against the spread. But, they haven't really been a favorite too much in any of those games. They've only been a favorite twice this year. Once was 1.5, and the other was their last game, -3.5, where they crushed Tulsa, a bad team, by 23. Here they are -6 at home against Seattle. And Seattle, kind of a mediocre team. Over their last 6 road games, they're 3-3 against the spread. But the 3 games that they covered, they also won outright as a decent-sized dog. So they clearly have some talent here. What are you liking here? I mean, notice this line opened at 4.5. It quickly jumped up to 6.
Yeah. Well, actually, the opener at Pinnacle, at the very first opener was 4, and then it quickly went to 4.5. I thought at 5 it was still good. I sent it out to my clients at I think 2:30 exactly, and then I tweeted it out also, and it was posted on SBR Forum. They got on the featured pick, and it quickly went up to 5.5. I just think they're in a really good spot. They dropped 5 in a row, and then they won their last game against Tulsa. But no, everyone kind of looks at them, and like you said, they weren't very good the last couple of years. And they've only won in the last 5 games. They think, oh, this team's probably not all that great. But if you look, their losses, they were to the best teams. They lost to Phoenix twice, they lost to Atlanta twice, and they lost to LA. I think the Storm are just in a really bad spot. They're coming off an upset road win in Chicago. I also think that people might be looking at that and valuing them a little bit more because of that, but it really wasn't all that impressive because Sylvia Fowles didn't play. And in the WNBA, there's not much depth, so when a girl goes down, it makes a huge difference. In the NBA, there's people that religiously will take a team if the superstar's injured because somebody off the bench will come in and replicate the numbers, or the team just as a whole will replicate the numbers. In the WNBA, it doesn't happen. But I also think just these 2 teams have the same record, but the Mystics, I think, are flat out better. Because if you look at the Mystics' losses, again, 5 of them, it's a very good team. Seattle, on the other hand, they lost to Tulsa, who's the worst team in the league, twice. And they lost to New York and Indiana. New York and Indiana both had a ton of injuries at the time when they lost to them. And just it's a revenge game here for Washington. They did lose at Seattle, but it took Seattle at home overtime to be able to beat Washington, and there was a ton of positive variance for Seattle in that game, and I don't expect it to happen again. Tina Thompson scored 30 points in that game, which was 2.5 times what she averages at 12.5. Seattle hit 9 threes, which is nearly double their average, and even despite all that, they were tied in regulation. And I just think Washington really matches up well. The 2 areas that if you're wagering on Washington, you want to be worried about is rebounding and turnovers. Seattle's actually a worse rebounding team, and they force less turnovers. I think the Mystics players just all around are much more talented. They got Langhorne, Lotta. They'll be all-stars this year. The only all-stars that the Storm have are in street clothes. Tamika averages 12 points per game currently, and Tina, who's their second-place player right now, she's 38 years old, and she's not what she once was. Sue Bird and Jackson are the two all-stars. They're out for the year. And lastly, the schedule for the Storm has been horrible. This is their 7th road game in 9 games. They've had to travel, I calculated the amount. It was 14,200 miles, their last 9 flights. So the mileage will wear on them. Washington, on the other hand, they've been home for a week and they played their last game at home. So I'm kind of expecting Washington to win. I got a projected score of 81-70. I think that they'll win by 11.
All right. Well, I'm completely convinced. Anthony from SweetJones55.com. That's about as comprehensive WNBA game preview as you're ever going to want. You want to go 9-1 against the spread in WNBA, boys? That's what you got to do. Thanks so much, Anthony from SweetJones55.com.
Okay, thank you. Thank you again for having me.